Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Such damage.
We're on.
Are we on?
Yes.
I thought you were kidding me.
No.
I was just saying, I was talking about, okay, hi. Well, I was thinking about the people in the world who do so much damage. How one person, I mean, you don't have to be an Adolf Hitler. You can be a Roger Ailes.
Yes.
You can be Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
You can be one guy who can literally alter the course
of nations,
of a country.
Yes.
Right. Of the world.
Right.
And you can do it while cynically, I don't know, while lining your pockets and destroying.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get this effect with my next column next week. Change the course of nations while lining my pockets.
I don't know. I
don't think I have the platform.
You have to have a bigger platform. I don't think it's going to work. God, jeez.
Anyway, for those of you who weren't reading our lips before this started, we were just discussing the
fact
Cliven Bundy situation.
Yeah, the Cliven Bundy situation, which the gift that keeps on giving, right?
Yeah.
Cliven Bundy, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking about him last week.
Yep.
And having a bit of fun about it, because I think last week I said, I really didn't. I kept hearing about Bundy, and I didn't know what it was, so I finally looked, and
now you can't escape him.
Well, I think it'll be easier to escape him because his enablers at Fox have done some really nifty backpedaling. I mean, if you saw if during Steeler training camp you saw somebody backpedaling like
you put Hannity in pass coverage.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Greta Van Susteren could make the team. It is mind-blowingly lovely. It really is. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the guy's candor, actually.
The funny thing is,
you sort of like him more somehow.
Well, I'll tell you what,
like a human being.
The thing that strikes you about it is, so all the tension has been when he's been talking about the Negro, but shortly after that, he then came out and talked about. Yeah, about immigration.
He talked about the Spanish.
Yeah,
and he meant the Mexican. He's a little confused in general, but he says here, I'll quote him. Now let me talk about the Spanish people.
Great tapas.
That's right. This is after he finished his dissertation on the Negro. So here, this really blows your mind, but I want to say something about it. I think it's interesting. Here's Cliven. I understand that they come over here against our Constitution and cross our borders, but they're here, and they're people.
I was as surprised as anybody to learn that.
Yeah, they're actually people. And then he says, he knows this because I worked side by side, a lot of them.
Yep.
Don't tell me they don't work.
No.
And don't tell me they don't pay taxes. And don't tell me they don't have better family structures than most of us white people.
Yeah. And with that, he derailed his chances of being the Republican nominee for president in 2016.
When you see those Mexican families, they're together. They picnic together. They're spending their time together. I'll tell you, in my way of thinking, they're awful nice people.
Yeah.
We need to have those people join us, be with us. Okay, so here's the difference. He worked side by side with these Spanish-Mexican people.
people.
Right. So he knows them, and he recognizes them as fellow people. In fact, even superior to his white cohort in some regards.
People who work with people are the luckiest people in the world.
It is true.
But yes.
Here's the problem. He's never worked with Negroes. He doesn't know from Negroes. And so what he knows from Negroes is things like, as he says, he observes them while he drives by, sitting on their front porch.
What more do you want?
That's all you need to know. They're sitting there on the front porch. These people clearly don't work.
But were they sitting there as a family? Because that's really maybe they were having a picnic.
It shows how important.
Yes.
I mean, it shows where bigotry comes from.
Right.
It comes from ignorance. It comes from lack of, any kind of intercourse between you and that other.
Yeah.
And he's had that with the Spanish, Mexican types.
Right.
And he likes them.
Yeah.
And he admires them. If he had instead worked alongside black people.
Yeah.
This is why segregation is so.
Yeah, I agree.
Is so awful.
Yeah, no question.
And why self-segregation is so awful. Because those people who fear black people, who have all these negative images of black people, believe me, supported by your media, who can't go out of their way to, a drug bust in Upper St. Clair or a drug bust in Mount Lebanon or a drug bust in Squirrel Hill is not going to have the police come along with it.
Well, there was that story out of Philadelphia.
The media. That is where I'm getting to.
Okay.
Because the story out of Philadelphia is so mind-blowing because you so rarely see.
Right.
These well-brought-up boys from some of the finest schools in the country running a drug operation. We're talking about the boys from Haverford, right?
Yeah,
Haverford?
Right, yeah. One of those mainline Philly
one of those, the best people send their children. And these are our betters, our superiors. And to even think that any of them would be using drugs. And in fact, two of their alums set up a huge network in which they had drug runners throughout the Haverford campus. And there's something just amazing. You see that one mugshot, the guy who looks like
he just got pulled in from a student council meeting.
Right. Like he looks like president of the student council. And I'm thinking, the reality is more white people use drugs.
Yeah.
More white people are in that line of work than black people, but you only ever see black. Why would that be? I remember once when I worked at Channel 4, there was a lot of excitement in the newsroom one day because I forget which reporter it was. It said that the police had called and said that he could go on a drug bust. Cameras rolling.
Can I ride in the armored vehicle?
Yeah. Oh, they didn't have
Can I be the guy who goes...
No, they didn't.
With the big ram?
Yeah. So, drug bust. And, this is so exciting. And I know at some point I piped up and said, let me guess. This drug bust wouldn't be, in the Hill District, would it? And he said, yeah, it is. Yeah. I said, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. I said, because the cops ain't going to invite you to a drug bust in a nice white neighborhood.
Yeah.
They only do it where people are disempowered and, they're so used to being effed over by everybody, media, cops, this, that, what else is new?
Yeah. I mean, they made a whole TV show out of that. Cops, right? I mean, I assume this is before. Before that came out because it's.
Yeah, because otherwise, why would it?
Yeah, it'd be
so exciting, right?
It was just like being on TV.
Oh wow! Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
And this is absolutely...
If we get off that easy, we'll be ahead of the game.
I gotta tell you. And we're also assuming that you've already heard Cliven Bundy's great remarks about how the Negro would be better off as a slave.
Picking cotton, no less, yeah.
Having little chickens there.
Yeah.
In his little front yard. And
crooning on the levee.
That's right.
They weren't singing the blues back then. Remember that one? Who was that?
Who said
they weren't
that?
singing the blues. Don't you remember that? It was
no.
Oh God. We were laughing about it a couple months ago. This is the problem. It's so hard to keep up with these guys. It was a similar. I can't remember. It was a public figure, and he was saying something similar that maybe it was better back in the day. It was the duck hunter guy. The
patriarch,
Psy, whatever.
They weren't singing the blues back then.
It's just like, yes, they were. That's where the blues came from.
That's where the blues came from. You idiot! Oh my God. Oh my God!
That's offensive both ethically and musicologically.
Yeah, really. Hey, I was reading Pete Seeger's testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee the other day, and it's just mind-blowing. It's just unbelievable. And on the date of May 17th, 1954, did you sing "I've Got a Hammer"? If I had a hammer, and they thought that was it was a communist song, and then at one point they asked if he'd been with. The reason I thought of this is you said something about musicology. Lomax. Why am I blanking on his
Alan
Lomax? Mm-hmm. They asked him, and were you along with Alan Lomax? So Alan Lomax must have been one of the people in HUAC's site.
Huh? He went around talking to poor people and stuff.
He went around talking to poor people and black people.
You know who cares about poor people? Communists.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. By the way, on Monday I'm having somebody in. We're talking about. I was reading about it because we're going to be talking about Pete Seeger, who would be 95 years old, I guess, the end of the week or something. I don't know what. And there's going to be a hell of a musical celebration at the Unitarian Church. Yeah. I think May 3rd.
There's a whole history there. He got booted off. He was supposed to be on WQED.
Yeah.
And they booted him off.
Under pressure.
Because he was too controversial.
Under pressure.
Yeah.
This was 1955-ish.
Yes, or 54, I think. It might
54?
be the 50th anniversary.
And then the Unitarian Church said, come on over here. Yeah. So we're doing a 95th party for him.
Profiles in Courage. WQED.
Hey, let's hear it. WQED. Woo, woo, woo.
Then they dumped QEX in the Cullen Devlin program. And I did not speak because I was neither Cullen nor Devlin. Then they came for 4802.
And I said, God, nothing. Thank you so much.
Finally, I can catch up on those DVR'd episodes of Downton Abbey.
So, there is no 4802 for me tonight.
Oh.
I don't know if there is a 4802.
I'm on the air tonight.
Oh, sure. Let me guess. PCNC?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you should tune in. I think Kevin Ackland's going to be on. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to be. You are? You're going to go after him?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, cool. Well, I'd like to see it, but I will
I'm just kidding. I like Kevin.
I will be in the Windy City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I will. As a matter of fact, as soon as you exit the building, I will be right behind you.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Here's what I wanted to say. So I'm driving in today, because I do need to make a quick getaway, so I couldn't take the bus. And I'm about to get on the Boulevard of the Allies. What allies are those, by the way?
Our World War I allies.
World War I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, France, Britain.
France? What? France? The other... What? You call that an ally? That's
the people you have to bail out?
No, that's just their cry for help. They're the reason that Americans even died in that war, right?
Nah, they died because of Woodrow Wilson's perfidy.
Jeez.
Anyway, your story was, so you're driving down.
I'm about to enter. I'm on like a ramp that's swooping into it. And all of a sudden ahead of me is like this dust storm. It's like a dust cloud. It's like, I said, where's that coming? There was nothing around that I could see. It just seemed bizarre. And I just had my damn car cleaned. I'm thinking, oh, shit. Because I'm driving right into this thing, and I can't figure out what it is.
And then a voice speaks to you. Lynn, why do you persecute me? An Easter time story, folks.
It was this, like, roiling right. thing. And anyway, I sort of think I get through it, and I slide right onto the boulevard, and then ahead of me is this, like, slow-moving vehicle, and it looks like a public works department kind of a thing, and there was
clouds
around
dust,
this huge cloud. I thought, oh, you did it. And so I maneuvered into the other lane, and as I'm driving by, this ahead of the vehicle that I had seen was, and this is so absurd,
a Prius.
A City of Pittsburgh street cleaner.
Yeah. Well, you're dusting.
What the hell is the point of that? All that machine was doing was taking all the dirt and throwing it up into the air.
Was Peduto driving?
No, this has been a thing for me for a long time.
Everybody hates street cleaning.
But it's not street cleaning if all you're doing is throwing the dirt up into the air. What the hell is that? Oh, it made me so angry. I'm still mad about it. God damn it. And then they ticket people. Oh, sorry, we're cleaning your street today. In other words, we're coming by and going and throwing dirt all over your yard and your house and your vehicles.
Yeah. Well, at least if you...
How is that cleaning? Peduto! How the hell is that
That's
cleaning?
Right. What happened to the new broom sweeping clean, Mr. Peduto?
No, I thought...
Maybe I'll ask Acklin tonight.
How does that work? I mean, shouldn't there be like water involved that would tamp it down?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they seem to use a little water because then that...
Yeah.
You don't seem to be... We pay these people to do what?
Yes.
What is the purpose? Yeah. Drives me crazy. Am I the only one who notices that?
You are not the only one. I've just heard so many complaints about street cleaning over the years that I can only nod in sympathy.
Well, the irony of this billowing cloud of dirt that I saw being the result of the city of Pittsburgh cleaning its street is too absurd. It's not even... Well, tell Acklin to do something.
I will ask Kevin Acklin why he wasn't out there with the...
That's not the right question.
I will interrogate him either before or after the show tonight and get an answer for you.
It makes zero sense. That is not cleaning.
Yeah,
I don't know what... You know what? That is a useless exercise.
Hey, you sound like my mom. That is not cleaning. That's just picking your socks up and throwing them in a different place.
That is right. And I'm not even that much of a finicky cleaner.
No.
But anyone can tell that's not cleaning.
Right. And now your car is all schmutzy again.
And in fact, they're creating more of it. All they're doing is throwing it right back at... Boy, that truck behind him was getting most of it. So I bet the guy in the truck behind him had to have his windshield wipers going with his bzz, bzz, bzz every 2 minutes because he couldn't even see anymore.
Right.
All right, you want me to shut up?
Mm-hmm. Actually, if you could pad it out for another 26 seconds, that would be great.
Because then we'd be ready for a break.
Did you honk? Did you do anything?
No. No. I didn't. What could I have done?
The lament of every citizen.
Is that what we were talking about last week, too? The word we couldn't come up with for when you think of something brilliant to say?
Yes. Words on the stairs. It's the French phrase.
Words
on the stair, I believe, is the French phrase.
What you think of after it's too late.
Yeah. Well, the day you have to struggle to come up with a well-chosen profanity will be a sad one indeed, Lynn Cullen.
Well, it's not about profanities are easy to come up with. That's when you let yourself
that's all that's
down.
required in that situation.
No. You want a bon mot. You want something evisceratingly clever. And
that they won't hear anyway because it's going, go on.
All right. As per Mr. Potter's sort of backhanded request, we will now take our first break of the day.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Foodies unite at Good Taste Pittsburgh. Saturday, April 26th from 10 to 4 at the Pittsburgh Marriott North and Cranberry. Sample fabulous food products, wine and spirits, and take home something special for your favorite foodie. Watch as Food Network chef Ram Fama and Pittsburgh's premier cocktail chef Stephen Kowalchuk demonstrate their culinary skills. It's National Pretzel Day and Snyder's of Hanover has great fun planned for everyone. Help us celebrate the pretzel and root on the finalist of our Recipe with a Twist contest as they bring their winning recipe to life on stage. Tickets are $15 online at goodtastepittsburgh.com. Good Taste Pittsburgh, a fun food-filled day.
Pittsburgh City Paper's Travel Guide magazine is available now. Pick up one today for a look at great travel destinations in PA, Ohio, New York, and West Virginia. Plus the Silkscreen Film Festival, food trucks, and news of the weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, your smartphone at citypapermobile.com, and at the iPhone App Store and Google Play.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay, well, so last week I wasn't sure what Cliven Bundy meant, and now I know, and I'm none the wiser for it. And I remember a few years ago wondering what net neutrality meant. And I kept hearing it bandied about, and a lot of people were getting their shorts in a twist, and I thought, what the fuck? Something else I got to get all worked up about?
Right.
Yeah! And guess what? It's back, and it looks like we're about to see the internet altered in a way that will truly change it, and not for the better. The big boys are going to, as usual, get the best accommodations. Yeah. The rich will have accommodations, and those who don't have extraordinarily deep pockets, well, will have to settle for steerage on this international highway that is the internet. Okay, go.
It's weird because I thought the internet was going to subvert all the dominant paradigms and...
Yes, isn't that what it was? And,
just like TV and radio did.
That's right. And little people like us were going to have a voice and a platform equal to anybody else. Well, that lasted until now, and the rich can't take it anymore.
Right.
They cannot stand it. And it looks like they got a friend in the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, appointed by, I'm just informed, by Barack Obama, who promised
net neutrality.
He would keep the internet like it was when Al Gore created it. He would
nicely done.
Yeah, he would keep it just like that and not let these moneyed SOBs try to F it up. Well, now the guy he appointed is actually, he's going to let Comcast, God, I hate Comcast, and I pay him so much money every month. Okay, he's going to let those big boys rule it and decide who gets on what on-ramp, who gets stuck behind the cleaning machine, and doesn't, what do you call it, street sweeper?
Street sweeper, yeah.
Yeah. And who gets into the HOV lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? It ain't gonna be you.
Yeah. Or us. Shows like this will probably end up like lots of buffering going on and stuff like that. Could become like jerky
and almost. Well, I think it already is. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah. I'll start to lose my hair.
Well, and I was saying to Mr. Potter here that this Tom Wheeler, the chair, you're under the impression that when Obama appointed him, he was on Obama's.
That was my understanding.
That he said, "Oh yes,
I'd easily be wrong about
net
that.
neutrality.
Yes,
we got to keep that." So he gets in this position. Now somebody's gotten to him. Now, who would that have been? Well, it wouldn't have been maybe Comcast or somebody like that. What I said to Potter, watch this guy, keep your eyes on that name, Tom Wheeler. And then when you read it, in a few years, it'll say Thomas Wheeler, former chair of the Federal Communications Commission, has taken a job with Comcast.
Comcast Time Warner.
Comcast Time Warner, who he helped make even larger, and he's now making Tom Wheeler right now, not a great deal. I'd take his paycheck in a minute, but I'm telling you, I know this for a fact. He will end up working for Comcast Time Warner,
right,
and he will end up making millions upon millions upon millions a year, and this is how our government works now. It is total corruption.
And the irony of this all, too, is that it's not like Comcast is hurting for money. They just had a big quarter. And the infrastructure that exists in the United States, if you compare us to other
is lousy,
civilized, industrialized nations,
primitive,
is mediocre at best. I saw a chart about it. We're in the
oh no,
we're like in the 30s somewhere in terms of,
because it's part of infrastructure. We don't pay any attention to this crap ever. And because these big, deep-pocketed corporations just pull all the money they can out of these things, and they don't want to bother cleaning it up.
And I've gotten really,
taking care of it.
This isn't directly on point, but I guess it suggests just kind of how jaded I've gotten about the whole thing. A few days ago, I was on a website, and there was a story about some app, some smartphone app that you could use to sort of reduce your carbon footprint. If you entered here's what I bought at the grocery store, whatever. Here's how what my electricity bill was. You put all this stuff in there, and they tell you kind of what your carbon footprint is. And the idea is once you know it, you can start to reduce it. And they there's a financial thing on their end, which is they'll start to recommend things and all that stuff. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, screw that. I'm never doing it, because I'm damned if I'm going to tell some online person what my shopping habits are, because I simply now have absolutely no expectation that material won't be beamed off to the the information clearinghouse of whatever, and that's where we're at. So this is part of that, I think, just the absolute just rampant commercialization of this platform, and those of us who've been who have a sense of history about it knew that that's what was going to happen, and so that's what makes all this stuff on the front end about the information superhighway and how it was going to liberate us and overthrow the old rulers or whatever. You just know it's bullshit. It just takes them a little while to catch on, and the next thing you know, you're paying them for the privilege of something that was supposed to be for free. One way or the other, you're either paying by disclosing your personal information, or you're paying through exorbitant cable rates, or you're paying because some website doesn't have the money to pay for the easy pass on the superhighway.
And by the way, this will result in these behemoths charging you more, because the New York Times in its editorial today says, so smaller content providers, that'd be like me.
That'd be us.
That'd be us.
That'd be your city paper right there.
Yeah. So people like us, smaller content providers and startups that could not pay for skyboxes, essentially, for preferential treatment, will not be able to compete in all likelihood, because their delivery speeds would be so much slower that the consumer's going to say, well, the hell with this. I can't deal with this. And so you'll run. You yourself will go into the arms of the big boys.
Right.
And you'll pay for all of it, too, because as the Times says, consumers will pay more. Because any company that agrees to strike the deals with these phone companies and cable companies are going to have to pay them a ton of money, and they'll pass that through to consumers.
Yeah,
so
of course. Yeah.
So while the internet, as it is currently constituted, has been an extraordinary boon to the economy, to creativity, to free speech, because it has been this relatively flat playing field, is about to be divided into haves and have-nots. And we know who the haves are, and they're going to take the internet now. How is this even legal?
What's legal is what the
do?
what's the law is what the regulators say.
No, but so what should we do? What can be done? Do you think this is?
I think this is one of those things where, precisely because President Obama campaigned on this, it might be the kind of thing where some real mass, mobilization of people calling and emailing and making a fuss about it. And
how about letting Obama know that his pick here of Tom Wheeler is obviously a huge mistake, and I don't know. How about threatening him? Hey, you want all his Democrats to stay home from the
what we should
polls
do?
In what?
Get guns and protect our internet from the government. It worked for Bundy. So everybody within the sound of my voice, get your gun and let's meet out at the internet.
Yeah, you see, that's the problem. Where do we go?
And we will not let those FCC jackbooted thugs lay their hands on it.
Dang it. Beyond belief. All right. What else was there? All right. Oh, did you see Tony Norman's column on the August Wilson Center today? I thought he's done some really good work on that.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't see that this initial bid, the hotel guy is so. He's a little, as I said, I was surprised yesterday by Peduto and Fitzgerald flipping out about this and asking that Ms. Fitzgerald be. Booted out by Judge O'Toole. I really didn't understand that. So what is going on?
I actually
here?
wrote about this online yesterday. I spoke to a professor of law at Duquesne yesterday, who specializes in bankruptcy. It's one of the things he teaches. And he said, he just found the whole thing ridiculous. He said, look, she has a job to do. She's appointed by the court. Right. And in the context of a state receivership, like a federal bankruptcy, her job is to get the best offer for the creditors. And the best offer is this thing. Now, you can say that's a terrible law, or you could say that makes sense in most cases, but in this particular case, it's a cultural. This property, unlike many other properties that would be foreclosed upon, like somebody's house, has a cultural significance, and that's all fine. But to go out, it just strikes me as, there other questions have been raised about her compensation and some other questions like that. But to go after and say it is sort of demonize her for basically going around finding the best bid and then saying I'm going to follow this bid. She's potentially, if she doesn't pursue the best bid. Dollar Bank has a cause for action. And look, let's be honest about this. Dollar Bank has straight up said, if we don't get Dollar Bank holding the $7 million mortgage, if we don't get $7 million, we're going to convert our interest in the mortgage and just take the property straight out, which they have the right to do.
Right.
So what's the point? What's the point of going after her for not taking?
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that because I didn't get it either.
It's very strange. And the other thing that strikes me about it too is so the foundations. It's a couple of these local foundations. They offered $4.5 million for this thing. Dollar Bank has this $7 million mortgage.
Yeah.
Let's say Dollar Bank gets all of that $4.5 million.
Yeah.
They're still out $2.5 million themselves. So you got to figure this foundation thing, which everybody's like, the foundations. This deal is essentially asking Dollar Bank to be as charitable or more charitable than the charities themselves.
Yeah.
So is that going to work? Is that realistic? To expect Dollar Bank to do that and then to climb up on this thing. And I talked to Chief Executive Fitzgerald about this. And I said, what about Dollar Bank here? He's like, well, we shouldn't demonize them. They've been a good partner. It's like, well, you're not going to demonize Dollar Bank for looking out for its interests, but her job is to also look out for Dollar Bank's interests.
And there's a whole bunch of other creditors too. And actually those little guys, in a deal like that don't probably get a thing. I mean,
I'll be writing about this coming week. I mean, I think, look, I would prefer, all that having been said, my intuitive sense is we should point out this, the high bid comes from some anonymous group that we don't even know who they are, which is always a subject of concern.
Yeah.
I would prefer the foundations have it. But look, if we're going to, as a community, we're going to say it's important that the community stays in it, then let's start a Kickstarter. Let's do something that makes for a bid that is competitive, because otherwise, I think to go after Fitzgerald, or to go after this process for doing what the receivership process always does and is designed to do, I mean, I'm mystified by it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it because it makes two of us. Okay, I'm mystified too. So, I was saying to Sokolowski yesterday, I initially wasn't paying attention to this, Crimea, Ukraine stuff. Uh-huh. I am now, just because it is fascinating to watch the little silly moves. I mean, little seemingly inconsequential occurrences and words said and things done that creates a war. Mm. Mm-hmm. A war in Europe. We haven't seen, these Europeans drive me. Putin he's going down there with, Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes as like one of those people that does nothing but creates trouble, real trouble.
Yeah.
He's going to create a war. He wants a war. And it's fascinating to watch it unfold, because it is not that different from the way other wars have begun. Mm-hmm. But, you read them about in the history books. You can see it in real time here. It's fascinating. And so, I don't know what the word is, but it's insane.
What do you mean insane? Like, what do you see?
Well, you can see how there's not good faith. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But there's this public posturing. There's these levels. There's this public posturing that goes on. Yeah, I suppose. And then there's what the real plan clearly is. You're waiting. He's waiting for one false lifted eyebrow or move on the part of these Ukrainians, and he's going in. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in Poland, NATO forces are ramping up, including some American troops who have gotten there. Thank God Ukraine is not a member of NATO.
Yeah, right.
If Ukraine were a member of NATO, we would, by treaty, have to go to war with Russia. Something that we've managed to avoid for our entire history. A real war. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And if you look beyond Ukraine, look at Hungary. I've been reading about Hungary. The Hungarians are becoming frighteningly enamored of some really, really fascistic nationalist. Mm-hmm. And they are also making same kind of Putin-esque comments about their Hungarian-speaking ethnic minorities next door and next door here, and how they got their, and all of a sudden, in this damn Eastern, Europe, all of these countries are, first of all, going right, and they're going autocratic, and they're going anti-Semitic again, and they're going, and it's, guys, have we seen this before somewhere? I think so. Right. And we just sit here, and you can see how the world sits there, because I don't want us going to war with them, so what? It's beyond belief.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but on the other hand, oh my God.
Terrifying. Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the idea of the EU was to keep Europe from this problem it has had through its entire life of fratricide.
Right.
Constantly killing.
Specifically to keep the Germans in check. And it has worked. Germany
they're on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like those other countries, like Germans or Germany.
No.
Because I mean, stop and think
some
about
of them
it.
remember.
Germany has like marched into those other countries more than once.
Yeah.
And now Angela Merkel sits there on top of them all, and she's playing footsie with Putin. It's something. You know what I want to say to you Europeans? It's your problem. You deal with it. I don't want another boulevard of the Allies where we go in, because you can't manage your affairs in your own neighborhood. We got our neighborhood. We got enough trouble. You deal with it.
That's what the Monroe Doctrine was all about, my friends.
That is correct. Entangling. No, that's not the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah, that was keep us. No, that was our hemisphere is ours, and the rest of you can go pound salt.
Right, exactly. But oh my God, no, it was Washington who said, "Beware of entangling alliances." I think. Yeah, right. So, yeah, guys, unbelievable. And then you got all the Republicans as usual. They're having a bromance with Putin.
Of course, yeah.
Because they like these warriors. Yep. They like people who are bellicose and manly.
Right. Every Republican adores a fascist, as Sylvia Plath said, I think.
Did she?
No, she said every woman adores a fascist, I think.
What?
Yeah, it was I don't know. Poetic irony. Never mind.
All right.
From her poem Father, I believe.
Oh.
Yes, one of those.
I was never a real aficionado of Ms. Plath.
I can imagine you wouldn't be, actually.
No, and
quit your whining.
Yeah, quit your whining. Get your head out of the oven
and listen.
Look, if you don't like that handsome jerk you're married to, then kick him out the door. Get your head out of the oven and shut the F up. There.
No. I'm glad you got that out of your system.
What was his name? Ted
Hughes.
Ted Hughes. Yeah. What a jerk.
Anyway, time for our break.
Okay.
And I got to get out of here.
Yeah, Potter has to go.
Yeah.
He has to go. He has a very hot interview. He has been working on this interview for the longest time.
It's been one of those that's been very difficult to say.
Very difficult, because heaven knows this guy is a powerful cookie. You go get him, buddy.
All right, I will do that.
All right. Thank you, Chris Potter. I'll be back in just a moment.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
BergBargains.com is your best bet for great deals in the Berg. Log on today for exclusive bargains from your favorite events and shows like Pyropest, City Theater, and the Improv. Plus discounts on gift cards to P.F. Chang's, Wing Hearts, and Rumfish. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
It's the Women in Film and Television International Summit, and it is coming right here, May 16th through the 18th at the Westin. If you are interested in the film and television industry, this is where you will want to be. Panel discussions, screening, speakers. I'm going to be emceeing a dinner Saturday night where we'll honor the director of Twilight, Catherine Hardwicke. To register, just go to WIFTISummit.org. WIFTISummit.org. Oh, by the way, the summit is open to anyone, men included.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All righty, guys, this in from Chuck. I like to tell people that I've been working with the internet before it was even called the internet, and that would be true. I recall teaching classes to visiting researchers at CMU, having to explain this thing we were calling the internet. So I've seen the rise of the internet, and I may well now see the fall of it. The two most concerning changes on the horizon are these. The FCC is set to introduce new rules governing how ISP can treat different services in different ways. What's ISP, John?
Internet service provider.
How internet service providers can treat different services in different ways. And well, this is what we were talking about. This is net neutrality. We call this the cost of fast lanes. Okay, that's what that is. And as you said, this will provide a better internet for the haves and a lesser one for most of us. Also, he says, as you do know, with choosing your gas provider and then your gas supplier, in the future, you may be asked to select an internet service provider and then also select internet service suppliers. The difference being the former provides the infrastructure and the latter provides the content. If you think choosing a gas supplier is confusing, you ain't seen nothing yet. Chuck finishes by saying, if all this comes to be, I will leave technology behind and become a baker. I'll be right behind you. I really will. I mean, this is... Yeah, I won't be able to do this. I won't do this. It's amazing. They ruin everything, these rich people. These greedy, capitalist pigs. All right. Hey, did you hear the latest? Nissan has made a paint for their cars that literally is self-cleaning.
What?
Yeah, the car never gets dirty. It absolutely, anything that falls on it, from mud to bird droppings to rain to anything, it just...
That's amazing.
Yeah. And don't expect it on a car anytime soon because, first of all, they're going to have this be probably an add-on that you'll pay way through the nose for. So what difference does it make? Because, I mean, the cars are going to be driving us instead of us driving them soon. And I figure if they're driving us, then they can keep it. The car can keep itself clean. Yeah. I mean, we're just... Increasingly in this life, we're just along for the ride, literally. I came upon the most unsettling piece in the New York Times yesterday in the, it's like the superficial, rich style section, Thursday Styles. I read it just to stay up with the haves and to see how they are spending their ill-gotten gains. The latest thing is women demanding foot surgery so they can wear designer shoes comfortably. The human foot is not meant to fit into some of these lovely, shoes. Into the, is it Jimmy Choos and I don't know. And in fact, the women who wear them not only endure a lot of pain, but they also end up literally deforming their feet. This is our brand of foot binding, I guess, because foot binding was about maintaining a measure of what was considered a beautiful woman. Well, the only reason women teeter around in 4-inch, 5-inch heels is exactly the same thing. It elongates the leg. It's sexually provocative. It makes your breasts go out and your butt go out because in order to balance on them, that's the way your body... So that's what it's all about. And every time I see women, like downtown, wearing those kinds of shoes and teetering around, I think you are an idiot. Now, you're young, and I guess we're all idiots when we're young. But to undergo surgery? Yes. Here's one of the doctors who does the surgeries for them. He at first thought that this was the height of superficiality. And he was telling these women, I really don't think this is wise. But then he thought on it a little bit and realized how much money there was to be made. And his concerns apparently went out the window. And he's quoted in the New York Times as saying, "On the surface, I know it looks shallow. But I came to see that these women need these shoes. They need them to project confidence. They are part of their outside skin." Okay, so here are some of the surgeries that are offered. You can have, ladies, your toes shortened. You can have your toes lengthened. You can have a foot tuck where a pad of fat is attached to the ball of your feet to help with your wearing of high heels. And other podiatrists have said that their practices have exploded because, thanks to Manolo Blahnik and Christian Louboutin, I don't know, is that, yeah? And Nicholas Kirkwood, these guys who are never going to be asked to wear their own shoes, of course, these guys who come up with these body-destroying shoes. Here's a doctor who has coined the term high heel foot. And that's what he says describes the deformed foot that is created by wearing these shoes. Idiots. So the doctor who said at first it seems superficial, guess what, buddy? You should have gone with your... Yes, that's exactly right. It's superficial. It's obscene. There are actually women who are getting stem cell injections in their feet. There are women who are getting Botox in their feet. There are women who have asked for liposuction on their feet.
Ew.
All right. Well, this brings me to another item that this comes out of a, personal story. I am dogless at the moment. I have 2 cats. And I took my cats to the vet for their yearly whatever. They both needed vaccinations and stuff. And since they're all, I figured if they get autism, I wouldn't notice. Anyway. So the one little lunatic passes, with straight A's. But my black cat, Dylan, who I did complain to the doctor that Dylan has the worst breath. Remember I've said that? Well, you know what it is? It means they've got periodontal issues. It's why humans often have bad breath. So
Dead tooth.
Huh?
Like a dead tooth.
It's not the tooth, it's the gum. Probably. And so he showed me how Dylan's teeth are really icky, dirty, and stuff, and he says he really needs to have, but it requires surgery. I mean, he has to be put out.
No.
Yeah, right. I didn't ask what it cost. I didn't ask, but he said, yeah, because, dental health, and it's true, and I know this is true for humans, dental health is important because it has a lot to do with overall health. If you don't take care of your teeth and gums, stuff happens. So he says what you're smelling when you're smelling that bad breath is bacteria. Okay. So he said he would, could do this. He has a whole dental suite, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I'll call you, maybe. And the more I thought about it, I thought, I have had a ton of cats in my life. I have never once had any of them have periodontal work done. Some of those cats have lived a long, long, long life. Some have not. And I was thinking about how American pet owners will pay for this stuff that didn't even used to exist. I don't ever recall. I mean, back in the 50s, dogs, cats, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. They lived or they died. I mean, right? And actually, I think we had it right then. Because if you think of the amount of money that is spent on teeth cleaning for cats and surgeries for cats and all of this human medicine that we now apply to our beloved quadrupeds, there's something obscene about it. I'm sorry. I think there is. I really do. I do. And I don't think in good conscience. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. You could afford it. And you love this little guy. And you hate his bad breath. So why not take care of it? And then I thought, I got to ask the doctor how much it costs. And then when I find out how much it costs, what I should do is take that money. Let's say it's going to cost $500. I don't know, right? $600. I don't know. Take that $500 or $600 and give it to the food bank. Take that $500 or $600 and find some clinic that treats poor people who can't afford dental care and give it so that some human being can get rid of the pain or the trouble in their own mouth. We've lost our minds. We've lost our way. We lavish upon those of us who can, lavish upon our animals more care than we do our neighbor, maybe our faceless, nameless neighbor, but human beings. Something's really wrong. And I understand that these veterinarians have figured out that, I mean, in order, I guess, to make the kind of living they want to make, they got to go into these more, they got to do these surgeries and tell you that you need to have these animals' teeth cleaned and they need anesthesia. But they're animals. I know we love them, and I do think animals have souls as much as we do. But there's human beings in this country who don't have access to that kind of care. And before we start doing this for the animals, how about we take care of our own? Seriously. I just don't, there's something wrong. Something has gone askew. And if we look past our own country and just look at the world and look at the suffering of human beings in this world who have no health care or no access, who have no food or access to clean water and this and that, and we're spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on little Puffy and Muffy and Skippy and... No, we don't call animals that anymore. Here's what I started. We don't call animals, we give animals names of humans. So animals now are named human names. It's rare to find an animal now who's Muffy, Puffy, or, yeah, right. Because they now are Jake and Martha.
That's a great cat name.
Martha and Lucy. I met a little puppy the other day whose name was Margaret. I said, well, what's her name? She said, Margaret. And I thought, Margaret? Margaret? Mm-hmm. Well, but we name them human names and we treat them like human beings. And I think we've lost our cotton picking minds. I do. And you would be hard-pressed to find someone who loves animals more than I. I love them. I can't imagine living without them. But could we get our heads a little straighter screwed on, could we please? Okay, well, I see that rain coming in. That always happens just as I'm about to get on an airplane. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. What? I have a call, but it's 11. Okay. Hi, caller. Make it quick.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C. Just
Hi.
a real quick story. I took my dog to the vet, and they said, what's your dog's name? And I said, Kipper. And they said, what's his last name? And I said, he's a dog. He doesn't have a last name.
No, his last name is your last name, of course. But his name
They
is
said, what's his last
name. I know. And do you have his, like birth certificate and his confirmation records and oh dear God in heaven. Mike, thanks.
Well, have a good day.
Okay, you too. I gotta run. The show's over. Oh, wait, the Gigi quickly on shoes. I don't remember where I was, but I heard a commercial on the radio for a spray to numb your feet so you can wear your high heels and not feel pain. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. You know what? The women who do that, idiots, and you deserve it. Idiots. And you know what? I would pay for my cat's periodontal surgery before I'd pay for these women's anything. I would. That's true. I guess case-by-case basis here, okay? Hey, thank you all so much. I got to hit the road. Monday, we got a full show, including talking a little bit about Pete Seeger, who would be 95 if he hadn't died. But, he did. Have a good weekend.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.